Hello ladies and gentlemen and movie lovers of all kind, and welcome back to the channel. As always, I am your host Brett Murphy, and for today's video I have a brand new ranking for you all, and I am going to be ranking all 6 of the Scream movies. So Scream 6 is officially out now, and this time around it sees Ghostface slashing his way back onto our screens in the Big Apple. Yes, that's right, for the first time ever, New York City. This franchise was thought to be long gone, with its last entry being way back in 2011, and then the passing of the late great director of the previous 4, Wes Craven, back in 2015. But lo and behold, the team known as Radio Silence took on the reins to this iconic franchise and delivered 2022's self-titled Scream. And just ever so slightly over a year later, we now have Scream 6. So where does it rank among the rest? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to find out. Just as a last quick note before we get into it, folks, my thoughts on Scream 6 will be 100% spoiler free. Before I hop into this actual ranking itself, I just wanted to let you all know that I have an entire playlist dedicated to all of my ranking videos. There is already well over 100 videos on that playlist alone, so if rankings are your thing, then check that out and I guarantee you'll find something you like. And so without further ado, let's hop right into things. Number 6. Scream 3. So I'm gonna waste no time with this one and just be straight up and blunt with you all. Scream 3 is by far the weakest in the franchise if you ask me. And I assume because you are watching this video, you are asking me. I've always felt that the killer reveal in this one was a total letdown, and the voice changer still makes no sense to this very day. We're just getting around to making that type of technology now in 2023. There is no way this was possible over 2 decades ago. It ain't happening. All of the new characters completely sucked, and they did my girl Gail so damn dirty with that haircut. However, it's not like it's an atrocious movie. Hell, it's not even a bad movie. It's actually still just fine, for all of the same reasons that you loved the previous 2 Scream movies. Most of that is in here, but those negatives I just mentioned are what really drag it down. An extra special shout out to one of my favorite cameos of all time though, to the late, great, beloved Carrie Fisher. Number 5. Scream 2. I feel like I'm very much so in the minority on this one. When I released my last Scream ranking last year, I had this one in the exact same spot, and a lot of people gave me some shit for it. Now that it's been a year, people have seen this movie, they're putting out like their Letterboxd rankings and stuff. A lot of people have Scream 2 fairly high, but I still have it way down here. I don't even know how people can argue with me on this one. The killer reveals here are so damn lackluster. You barely get any time with either character. The reveals just feel so out of left field. At least that's the way that I've always felt, especially with Timothy Olyphant's character. He isn't in the movie for like over an hour by the time it's revealed that he's the killer. And spoiler alert if you haven't seen the Scream movies, but I don't know why you'd be watching this if you hadn't already seen them. They killed off Randy, who was possibly my favorite character in the original movie, in such an anticlimactic way, and all of the newly introduced characters are just unbearably uninteresting, and don't even get me started on that random cafeteria musical number. Even the cast and crew hated doing that themselves. However, it still absolutely has some solid meta humor and many references, some great tension building like all Scream movies do, and the main trio are of course as lovable as ever. It follows many of the common sequel tropes that they continuously reference, for better and for worse. Number 4. Scream 4. Personally, this one actually kills me because I love this movie. In my opinion, up until the release of the 5th movie over a decade later, I always thought that this was the best of the sequels, because this one just so happened to be a sequel that nobody was expecting and truthfully nobody really asked for. And that was arguably the biggest shock, because this movie ended up being extremely good and breathing a whole new wave of life into this franchise. I loved catching up with our main trio after over a decade, seeing how Sydney has become a big success, seeing how Dewey and Gail finally got married. The new characters were very much so hit and miss. I loved Jill and Kirby. I thought they were awesome. The rest, not so much. Some of them are okay, but for the most part, you could kind of just take them or leave them. We have a whole new set of meta rules to feast on because we were then in the age of reboots and remakes, especially for horror movies. Some gnarly kills, a very unexpected killer reveal, and this one is always going to hold a very special place in my heart, in the hearts of horror fans everywhere, as this was Wes Craven's last movie. Number 3, Scream 6. So this one will be spoiler free. I don't want to get into too many details because the movie is still very fresh, still very new. In my mind, the new leads have very much so solidified themselves as absolutely worthy successors to bring this franchise forward. The kills in this one have got to be the most gruesome and violent of the series. Without getting into too many spoilers, the killer reveal actually kind of caught me off guard. Not in its entirety, but again, without getting into spoilers, I'll say it partially caught me off guard. The humor was very lightly sprinkled in here and there, so it worked fairly well for me. The meta references and rules have taken on the gargantuan task of tackling franchises, and they handled it with ease. I also felt that the legacy characters that were present in this movie were used far more effectively than they actually were in Scream 2022, except for Dewey, who still outshines anybody in either of these movies. This one also has by far some of the most intense chases and tension-filled sequences. In particular, that subway section that you see scattered throughout all of the trailers, that was magnificent. And this may be a bit of a bold statement, a hot take if you will, but this one has arguably the best opening since the original. The only real negatives I have with this movie are that I felt that the movie didn't take anywhere near enough risks, which led to there feeling like there was basically no stakes, especially by the time the credits rolled. I just felt like the movie was lacking a certain something, and that's pretty much what it was. I'm also worried for that rumored sequel that is said to be greenlit as of a few days ago, because where this movie wraps up, I feel like they've sort of written themselves into a tight little corner, so I am a little worried for the future. Nevertheless though, despite those negatives, Radio Silence absolutely delivered yet another bloody good time. Number 2. Scream 2022. I surprisingly loved most of the new characters that were introduced for the first time here, although some of them were admittedly a bit dull and sort of just served as sheep for slaughter. The legacy characters here felt a bit wasted, in particular Sid and Gale, because Dewey was absolutely not. David Arquette gave arguably my favorite performance of the franchise, and his death absolutely broke my heart. I really dug all of the callbacks, references, homages, and of course modern meta approach that was once again tailored to fit a whole new era of horror. I love that by the time the credits rolled, the movie basically just ended up being one giant middle finger to toxic fandoms. Genius. The kills were brutal. It delivered some of the most effective cat and mouse sequences of the series. Truth be told, I really did have my doubts with this one when it was first announced. Even though the trailers were admittedly fairly solid, I was very worried to have a Scream movie without Wes Craven. But the team of Radio Silence, which consists of the duo of directors and one of the executive producers, handled this movie with great care, blending it seamlessly with the rest of the franchise and gifting us a beautiful love letter to Wes. Number 1. Scream. What is there left to say about this original Scream movie? It is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, horror movies of all time. One of my, if not my favorite slashers. It's just one of my favorite movies of all time. I love this one. It completely changed the game with its brand new, at least at the time, meta approach, as the characters reference their way throughout the entire movie as if they know they're in a horror movie. It's clever, unique, darkly humorous, and gifted us one of cinema's most iconic killers, Ghostface. It boasts a cast of relatable and quirky characters, arguably the most iconic opening in horror movie history, if not just movie history in general, one of film's most memorable killer reveals, and yes, there are some tropes and cliches throughout, but with everything being so on the nose with its meta commentary and self-referential approach, it truthfully all works just fine. And this is still without a doubt my favorite of the Scream franchise. No matter how hard they tried, they have not yet been able to recapture the magic of this original. So that is all for today's video, folks. Be sure to let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with my ranking. While you're at it, don't forget to let me know how you would have ranked all 6 of the Scream movies. If you're a movie lover whatsoever, then my channel is the place to be for you, be it rankings like this one, top 10 videos, versus videos, tier videos. I have it all and so much more, with well over 700 videos already on the channel for you to enjoy. So if you enjoyed this particular video, then be sure to hit that thumbs up button. And if any of that sounds like it's right for you and you want to see more from me, then smash that subscribe button right now. While you're at it, don't forget to ring that little bell icon, that way you can be notified about all of my latest uploads. And as always, stay safe, thank you so much for watching, and that's a wrap. Hey you, yeah you, if you made it this far, just know I appreciate you, and while you're here, consider hitting that subscribe button.